All right, let's talk about what a z-score is actually telling us, and I think then that'll help us understand how we can see whether a z-score is usual or unusual, as to whether or not it's more than 2 standard deviations above a mean. So what a z-score is telling us is how many standard deviations a value is above or below the mean. So once we convert a number into z-scores, it's basically giving us units as to how many counts or steps we are above or below the mean. So when we have this line down here that's below our curve, so we have that line there, and then we have the curve, which my curve's not going to be very pretty. Then we have the center value, which is always our mean of 0. Then every line that we make right here, and we always just go out 3 because that's as far as we can really measure. Every one of these is a unit in terms of z-scores and standard deviations. So this is 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations, and this is -1, -2, -3. But we're talking about our z-scores. We're counting them in units of z-scores. So if I come out to 1, I'm saying I'm 1 standard deviation away, 2 standard deviations away, 3 standard deviations away from this middle value right here that is the mean. So if I do my calculation and I come up with a z-score equal to, let's say I come up with a z-score equal to 1.28. I don't know, I'm just making that up. Then where I am is right about here. I'm at 1.28, okay? So what I am saying is, I'm right there. It's kind of think of it maybe as a number line or a ruler, I don't know. What I'm saying here is I am 1.28 standard deviations away from the mean. So a z-score tells us the number of, I can't write as fast as I can talk, number of standard deviations away from the mean. Our value may be, or is. Okay, so if we come up with a negative value, so let's say we do our calculation and we come up with a negative, if our z is a negative 2.6. So let's say that value is sitting right here at -2.6. So we did our calculation and we got -2.6. What that is telling us is our value is -2.6 standard deviations away from the mean. Okay, so now in your questions that you were probably doing on your homework, you were trying to see if you were more than 2 standard deviations away from the mean. So if you were looking for that, if you were trying to see if you were outside of the 2 standard deviations, well, this one was outside of 2 standard deviations because you went beyond this point right here, this unusual point. This one did not, this 1.28. However, if you had done the calculation over here and gotten anything greater than 2, if you'd gotten a z greater than 2, then it would have been outside of the 2 range. Anything that fell from here and bigger would have been outside of the 2. Or if you were looking for anything outside of the 3, anything 3 or larger, it just depended on what your question was looking for. So that's how you know how many standard deviations you are away from the mean. You look at your z-score because that is counting how many standard deviations you are away from the mean.